Hello, welcome to my channel. If you're doing your CPA Core 1 module, I hope it is going well. During your CPA PEP journey, you'll see financial reporting issues a lot. Financial reporting issues are pretty easy if you know how to structure it. I'm going to share with you some tips on how to structure your response in order to achieve the details required for a competent level analysis or even competency with distinction.
It is very important to follow a systematic approach. You may see some people use IGBAR or IAR. They are basically the same. First, you need to identify the issue. Then, you need to use the appropriate handbook criteria and guidance to support your analysis. If you quote any criteria, you need to use case facts to analyze whether the criteria are met or not met. Finally, based on your analysis, you need to recommend the proper accounting treatment, conclude on the impact of adjustments on financial statements and users' objectives. It is important to summarize the issue using case facts. It is important to be concise, as your focus should be on the analysis and recommendation. Also, please don't just copy and paste case facts without identifying the issue. For the analysis component, it is very important to use the proper accounting standard. Most of the time, it will say in the case whether the company used ASPE or IFRS. You need to quote the handbook criteria or guidance and apply case facts in your analysis. You need to specifically indicate whether the criteria are met or not met. In addition, it is important to consider your client's expectations or bias. For example, if the case indicates your client has incentive to overstate income, you need to consider this in your analysis. So, what should you avoid? First, please don't jump to conclusion directly. Even the answer may seem obvious. You still need to help your client understand the situation. Also, please try to stay away from excessive technical dumps, meaning please don't quote too much handbook criteria and guidance. You don't need to copy everything. You should try to summarize the relevant criteria. Finally, if you only copy and paste the handbook criteria or guidance, and if you do not use case facts in your discussion, it won't be sufficient to get a competent grade. Finally, based on your analysis, you need to recommend the proper accounting treatment. Remember to discuss the how and when. For example, you may need to consider what your client should do at year-end and in future years. This depends on the topic. Also, you should quantify the adjustments if there is enough information given in the case. Finally, it is important to conclude on the impact of adjustments on financial statements and the user's objectives. For example, if your client is planning to sell the company, you need to consider the impact on the potential selling price. Keep in mind your recommendations should be valuable. If you tell your client something is wrong, you need to tell them how to fix it. Your conclusion should be specific. For example, if your adjustment will decrease net income, you should specifically indicate this. Don't just say the adjustment may impact net income, as the impact could be positive or negative impact. You need to be specific. I hope you found this information helpful. Thank you so much for watching this video. I wish you all the best with your CPA journey.